Hey y'all, it's Kim again. So I was gonna start reading this Robert Hur transcript between Robert Hur, special counsel for the DOJ, and then Joe Biden. Anyway, it says recorded interview between special counsel Robert Hur, SCO, Deputy Special Counsel Mark Crickbaum, SCO, Assistant Special Counsel DOJ, whatever, SCO, I guess was confidential, and then Supervisory Special Agent DOJ, FBI Special Agent DOJ, FBI Edward Siskel, and then I guess it's the White House Counsel Richard Sauber, White House Counsel Rachel Cotton, White House Counsel Robert Bauer, uh, PC, and David Loffman, PC, and President Joseph R. Biden Jr. It says files, whatever, date of interview is October 8th, 2023. Free State Reporting Inc. Court reporting transcription. So it says recording SA DOJ. The date is October 8th, 2023. The time is approximately 12:15 p.m. in this interview with President Joseph Biden. Mr. Hur, thank you, DOJ. And then good morning, everybody. Mr. President, thank you for your time. Actually, it's technically afternoon. A good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your time very much. I think just for clarity of the record, I should quickly go around and make a note of everyone who's here. I'm Robert Hur, or Rob Hurd, the special counsel, joined by Mark Crickbaum and DOJ, also with the special counsel's office. And we're joined by two FBI agents, and those are basically redacted. President Biden, obviously, you're here. Thank you very much. You're joined by members of the White House counsel's team, White House counsel Ed Siskel, Dick Sauber, and Rachel Cotton, and also your two personal counselors, counsel Bob Bauer and David Loffman. Have I missed anybody who is not seated at the table? An unidentified male speaker? No. Mr. Hur. All right, good. Well, then, with that, I have some preliminary matters to go over briefly. But before I do that, do you all have anything else you'd like to say before we jump in? Identified male speaker? No. President Biden? No. Mr. Hur? Okay, all right. Well, Mr. President, I do want to take an additional minute. Thank you for being here and making this time for us. I know there's a lot of other things in the world going on that demand your attention. President Biden, we may be interrupted by one. And Mr. Hurt understood. President Biden, I hope not. Mr. Hurt, we hope not to. President Biden, I just got off the phone with Bibi Netanyahu. Mr. Hurt, yes, sir. So I also wanted to say that we know that you have provided significant cooperation with our investigation, and I wanted to personally recognize that and thank you for it. President Biden, the FBI knows my house better than I do. Laughter. But Mr. Hur, I'm not sure about that, sir. President Biden, I'm pretty sure. Mr. Hur, I hope it's been obvious during the months that we've been at work that my goals have been to, Mr. Hurt, do a thorough and professional job, but also to do it as swiftly as possible. And your cooperation has been very helpful in us trying to achieve all of those goals, especially the efficiency of our investigation. On the top of cooperation, as federal prosecutors, we do assess cooperation at the end of an investigation. Obviously, your willingness to sit for this interview today and tomorrow and answer our questions is part of that cooperation. It's obviously very important to answer our questions truthfully, and we appreciate very much your willingness. And we hope that you will be able that you'll put forth your best efforts and really try to get your best recollection in response to the questions asked, because I acknowledge that some of the questions we are asking relate to events that happened years ago. President Biden, I'm a young man, so it's not a problem. Laughter. Mr. Hur, okay, great. Glad to hear it. A couple of other ministerial notes. I may ask a question that is unclear or badly phrased. I sometimes do that. I often do that. If I ever ask a question that you don't quite understand, you need clarification, then you should say, I don't understand what you're saying. You should ask me to try to clarify it and I'll take another crack at it. President Biden, okay. Mr. Hurt, and then should you ever want to take a break today or tomorrow? President Biden, by the way, there's a restroom right behind us. Mr. Hurt, oh, thank you. President Biden, for the rest of you as well. Mr. Hurt, good to know. Thank you. Should you ever want to take a break during the interview, including to confer with members of the White House counsel's office or your personal counsel, all you got to do is just let us know that we'll take a break. President Biden, okay. Mr. Hurt, all right. Mr. Bauer, Rob. Mr. Hurt, yes. Mr. Bauer, on the question of clarity, the question, we don't want to interrupt the flow. Mr. Hurt, Mr. Bauer, of course, if Ed and I have any uncertainty about what you're asking. Mr. Hurt, sure. Mr. Bauer, we all may also ask for clarity about the question. Mr. Hurt, I would be surprised if you did not, Bob. Mr. Bauer, I'm confident of that. Mr. Hurt, okay, all right. Any other preliminaries before we jump in? Okay. Well, Mr. President, normally we start these kinds of interviews by asking the witness to tell us a little bit about their background. You probably have had your background documented as well, or better than any other person on the planet today, so we will not be asking you to take us back to Scranton. We will be asking you to take us back to more recently, back to the end of the Obama administration, so January of 2017. So if you could cast your mind back to that time, you at that point, President Biden, piece of paper, Mr. Bauer, yes, of course, here. Mr. Hur, you at that point were about to become a private citizen for the first time in 40 years. That would be the first time in your decade that you are not going to be in the government service. So could you just, Mr. Hurt, tell us a little bit about what you were planning on doing with your time as a private citizen? What kind of projects or pursuits you were thinking about engaging in? And a note about this question, I'm thinking about public, external facing pursuits as opposed to personal, family oriented pursuits, if that helps narrow the category of things that you can talk. President Biden, I was going to become a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was working at the University of Delaware for the Biden School on Domestic Policy. Mr. Hurt, President Biden, and so my objective was to stay engaged in public policy debate and teach. By the way, I taught before when I was a senator on Saturdays for a number of years. I taught at Delaware Law School. I taught a course on constitutional law on Saturday mornings. So I wanted to continue that kind of work. Mr. Hurt, understood. So with respect to your professorship in the Penn Biden Center, how much of your time did you anticipate spending on that post-vice presidency? Mr. Hurt, all of it. Hold on. Okay, President Biden, actually, he said that all of it. And then Mr. Hurt, all of it. President Biden, yeah, I mean, it was a job. How much time do you expect to spend on I'm not being facetious. I mean, I wanted to have recreation, other things. I don't mean that, but this is going to be my job. Mr. Hurt, and how did your participation in the efforts of the Biden Institute factor into that as well? President Biden, well, that was part of it as well. And Penn knew that I was working with the Biden Institute on domestic policy. And the real advantage I had in the Penn job was they gave me money to hire staff. So I was able to hire some first-rate people like the Secretary of State now. He's my Secretary of State. He was working for me at the Penn Center, at the Penn Biden Center. And so it was about being engaged in matters that I thought were still consequential. Domestic policy was related mainly to matters having to do with the Judiciary Committee and economic policy. And at Penn, it was mainly on foreign policy. Mr. Hurt, one of the other things that we know that you spent a significant amount of time doing after the end of your Ross presidency was writing a book, Promise Me Dad. So when you were thinking about writing that book at the end of your vice presidency, how much time did you anticipate that would take of yours, or yeah, did you anticipate that would take of yours? Okay, the time. President Biden, I didn't anticipate. I couldn't. It took more time than the first book I wrote. I wrote a bestseller early on. It was on the bestsellers list. And then when I wanted to do was write a book about my son because he was a remarkable man, and I wanted to my grandchildren and great grandchildren and family to understand who he was and have some documentation of it. I wasn't writing it at the time thinking that it was going to sell, it was going to be a bestseller, that kind of thing. I wanted people to know what this is a guy, on his deathbed, grabbed my hand and said, Dad, I'm not afraid. Don't. Promise me, Dad. Promise me, Dad, you'll stay engaged. Promise me. Because he knew how much I adored him, and he was worried I'd sort of walk away from everything I'd always worked on. So I wanted people to know what kind of man he was. And Mr. Hur. And we're going to be talking about Promise Me Dad more further on and tomorrow as well. But please just allow me to say for a moment, I am so terribly, terribly sorry for your loss. President Biden, a lot of people have had have had similar losses and worse without the kind of support I have. I have a family that's an incredible family. And so I just know that. I wonder all the people out there I've written about and talked about, so many brave people who get up every day and put one foot in front of the other, and I don't know how the hell they do it. Just keep moving forward, but I had a lot of help. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there and we'll start back up with Mr. Hur here because I don't want any problems with the recording. And I need a drink of water and deal with this dog again. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all a little bit later. I'll try to get this other one put up in a few minutes. See y'all. Bye.